5 health tests to avoid after 70. They may do more harm than good. There comes a point in life where wisdom must speak louder than worry. When you've made it to 70 and beyond, your heart carries the weight of years of laughter, of loss, of lessons learned the hard way. You've seen generations rise, trends come and go, medicines praised and later recalled. At this age, you no longer chase youth, you treasure peace. But sometimes the world tries to stir up fear in you again. It tells you to scan, poke, test, and prod your body into submission, as if you're a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. And all in the name of staying safe. But is it really safety or just another kind of fear? You see, there's a lie many people believe that the more tests you take, the longer you'll live. But the truth is deeper than that. Not all medical checkups are made for the elderly. Some, in fact, may do more harm than help, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually, because not every shadow on a scan is a threat. Not every irregularity needs to be fought with knives or pills. Sometimes the best medicine is discernment. Sometimes healing means saying no, not because you're giving up, but because you've learned to let go. This isn't about neglecting your health. It's about honoring the life God has given you and protecting your peace. You are not broken. You are seasoned. And just as a seasoned tree stands tall despite the wind, you don't need to be chopped in two or drilled through to prove you're still alive. You need truth. You need rest. And you need to know that sometimes, not testing is the strongest, wisest thing you can do. Let's talk about it, heart to heart. Number 1. The annual full-body scan. When fear becomes the diagnosis. There's a quiet pressure in the world today that whispers, you need to be sure. You need to catch it early. You can't take any chances. And so many seniors walk into clinics every year, signing up for full-body MRIs or CT scans, not because something feels wrong, but because fear tells them they might be missing something. But here's the sobering truth. The more you look, the more you find, and not everything you find is meant to be fought. Full-body scans are incredibly sensitive. They can pick up every little spot, bump, cyst, or calcification, most of which are completely harmless. These are often called incidental findings, and though they sound innocent, these discoveries can become the beginning of a long, painful, and unnecessary journey. One shadow on a scan can lead to more scans, then biopsies, then surgery, then complications, then months of emotional anguish over something that never needed to be treated in the first place. For people over 70, this path can be especially dangerous. Your body has carried you through decades of life. It doesn't bounce back the same way it did at first. An unnecessary procedure can weaken you, set you back, or rob you of precious months or years that could have been spent in peace instead of recovery rooms. What's more, these tests often fail to prolong life in the elderly. They simply uncover things that were never meant to be disturbed. God didn't create your body to be a battleground. You are not a machine needing constant inspection. You are a soul wrapped in sacred flesh, and your days are written in His book, not on a radiologist report. If you're not showing symptoms, if there's no reason other than fear to undergo such invasive imaging, maybe it's time to pause, to ask yourself, is this bringing me life or stealing my peace? There is great strength in saying no to what the world insists you must do. There is wisdom in trusting the silence of your body instead of chasing the echoes of worry. And there is deep spiritual power in surrendering your health into God's hands rather than the cold steel of machines. You are not missing something. You are whole, and you deserve to live these years free from the weight of false alarms. Number 2, PSA testing for prostate cancer. When watching is wiser than fighting. There's a moment of quiet tension that many older men face. A routine doctor visit, a quick blood draw, and then a phone call. Your PSA levels are high. Those three letters, PSA, short for prostate-specific antigen, have become a signal of fear for countless men. They're meant to detect early signs of prostate cancer. But after 70, the story becomes more complicated and the consequences more serious. Here's something most men aren't told clearly. Prostate cancer in elderly men is usually slow-growing. So slow, in fact, that many live their whole lives with it and die from something else entirely, never knowing they had it. It's not the kind of aggressive, fast-moving cancer we imagine. But once the PSA number comes back elevated, everything changes. Doctors often move quickly, offering biopsies, treatments, surgeries, and in that whirlwind, a man can lose something far more valuable than time: his peace. The truth is, the treatments for prostate cancer, especially when it may not be life-threatening, can be devastating. Surgeries can leave a man incontinent. Radiation can rob him of his sexual function. And all of it comes with emotional weight, feelings of shame, isolation, and regret. Many men say, "I wish I'd never taken that test. I felt fine. Now I feel broken." You are not broken. You are not a problem to be fixed. You are a man who has lived a rich life, who deserves to be seen as whole, not defined by a number on a lab report. At this stage of life, we must begin to ask better questions. Not what can I find, but what truly matters. Not how can I fight every potential issue, but how can I protect my peace, my joy, my dignity. If you are experiencing real symptoms, pain, difficulty urinating, blood, then yes, those signs deserve attention. But if you feel well, if the test is only being done just in case, take a breath. Talk with someone you trust. And remember, wisdom sometimes means choosing not to chase every shadow. God has not called you to live under constant examination. He's called you to live in faith. Sometimes healing doesn't come through a procedure, it comes through peace. And peace begins when you stop letting fear make your decisions. Number 3. Mammograms. After 70, the line between caution and obsession. For decades, women have been taught that mammograms are a vital part of staying alive. Early detection saves lives, they say, and for many, that has been true. But after the age of 70, that well-meaning message can start to shift into something else: anxiety, confusion, and in too many cases, unnecessary harm. By this stage in life, your body has been through much. It has nourished, it has endured, it has carried you through the seasons of motherhood, widowhood, maybe even great-grandmotherhood. But now, in these later years, it deserves rest, not more fear. The reality is that mammograms, after 70, often detect things that do not pose any real threat to your life. Non-aggressive tumors, slow-growing cysts, calcifications, things that might never spread, never hurt you, never even grow. But once they're found, the pressure begins. More imaging, biopsies, surgeries, radiation, weeks or months of recovery, exhaustion, and doubt, all for something that may never have caused you a single problem. It's a heavy price to pay for the illusion of control. At this age, what matters most is quality of life, not the endless pursuit of what if. You shouldn't have to lie awake at night replaying scan results or waiting for callbacks. You shouldn't have to wear gowns in cold exam rooms just to calm someone else's fears. You have earned the right to trust your own body. You have earned the right to say, enough. This isn't a call to neglect your health. It's a call to honor it with wisdom, not worry. If something doesn't feel right, if there's a lump, a change, or discomfort, get it checked. But if the only reason for a mammogram is routine, out of habit or pressure, pause and ask yourself, is this serving my peace or stealing it? God's peace is not frantic. His peace is still, steady, gentle. It doesn't push you into panic. It leads you with grace. And sometimes that grace sounds like a whisper in your spirit saying, your body is not the enemy. Rest, trust, breathe. You are not defined by the tests you take or the fears others carry. You are defined by the light in your eyes, the love in your heart, and the years you've lived with courage. Don't let another machine decide your worth. You are already worthy. Number 4. Colonoscopies. When the risk is in the test, not the disease. At some point, nearly every older adult has been told, it's time for a colonoscopy. For years, it's been held up as a gold standard, an essential screening to catch colon cancer early. But after age 70, especially beyond 75, that golden rule begins to rust. What once may have been helpful can now quietly become harmful. And the danger lies not in what the test finds, but in what the test does. Colonoscopies are invasive procedures. They require sedation or anesthesia, a harsh bowel cleanse, and often hours, if not days, of preparation and recovery. For a younger person, the body can usually bounce back. But for someone over 70, with slower digestion, fragile tissues, or other medical conditions, the procedure can bring serious complications. Bowel perforations, internal bleeding, dangerous drops in blood pressure. And for often the growths found are polyps that would never become cancer, especially not in your lifetime. And yet, despite the risks, many seniors are pushed to keep testing out of habit. There's a subtle fear woven into the conversation. What if you miss something? What if it's too late? But fear is not a wise guide. Fear makes you rush when God is asking you to rest. Fear tells you your body is failing when in truth it's just growing older with dignity and grace. By this stage of life, your focus shouldn't be on finding every potential threat, but on living. You deserve to enjoy your meals, take walks in the sunshine, laugh without pain, and sleep without worry. There is more health in a peaceful soul than in any procedure. And while colon cancer is real, the truth is that the most aggressive types usually show symptoms: bleeding, pain, sudden weight loss. And when they do, you seek help. But screening just to screen, when your body is showing no signs, that's not medicine, that's anxiety. God did not design your later years to be lived in waiting rooms and hospital gowns. He designed them to be full of presence, present with your family, your memories, your joys. So ask yourself, is this test truly needed, or is it just another checkbox someone wants me to tick? You are not on earth to be scanned, scoped, and measured endlessly. You are here to love and to be loved. Let that be your focus. Let that be your care plan. Let that be the legacy your body carries, not more scars, but more serenity. Number 5. Frequent cognitive testing. When labels steal your light, there's a quiet fear that starts to creep in as the years pass. A forgotten name, a misplaced key, a moment of confusion. And soon, someone says, maybe you should get tested for dementia. What begins as a conversation out of concern quickly spirals into appointments, assessments, memory quizzes, and evaluations that turn your beautiful, complex life into a chart of what's missing. But let's pause for a moment and ask the deeper question. What is all this testing really doing? For many seniors, especially after 70, frequent cognitive testing doesn't offer comfort. It creates anxiety. It reduces a lifetime of wisdom, creativity, and soul into numbers on a page. And once a label like mild cognitive impairment or early dementia is given, it can feel like a prison. Suddenly, people treat you differently. Family members may talk around you, doctors begin to speak about you instead of with you. And worst of all, you may start to doubt yourself, even in moments when you're completely aware and capable. That is not the life God intends for you. Yes, memory changes with age. That's part of being human. That's not a flaw, that's a reflection of how deeply you've lived. You've carried years of stories, heartbreaks, names, and places. Of course, the mind slows down. It's not broken. It's full. The danger of constant cognitive screening is that it shifts your focus from living to watching yourself live. You start to monitor every word, every hesitation, every moment of forgetfulness, afraid that it might be proof of decline. That self-surveillance becomes exhausting. It steals your joy, your spontaneity, your sense of freedom. And here's something doctors rarely talk about. There is no cure for dementia. No test prevents it. And for many, a diagnosis doesn't lead to better care. It leads to fear, isolation, and depression. What protects your mind most in these years isn't more tests. It's meaning. It's purpose. It's love, laughter, faith, connection, sunlight, and stories. The Bible tells us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You may forget a name, but you haven't lost your spirit. You may lose a date, but you haven't lost your dignity. Your soul remains intact. The essence of who you are is not held in a memory score. It's held in God's hands. So if you're being pressured into cognitive testing again and again with no real concern or symptoms, it's okay to say, "No, thank you. I know who I am." Let your mind be free. Let your heart lead, and let your days be filled not with labels but with light. Conclusion: your health, your peace, your choice. You deserve care that respects your age, your wisdom, your story. You deserve to walk into your days with calm assurance, not under a cloud of suspicion about what might be wrong. You are more than your chart, more than your records, more than your scan results. You are still becoming, still breathing, still learning how to rest in God's hands. So take back your peace. You do not have to say yes to every suggestion. You do not have to chase every shadow. You do not have to live in fear of what if. This life, this body is not an emergency. It's a sacred place where God still dwells. He's not panicking over your test results. He's walking beside you, quietly whispering, "I've got you. Be still." Let your final chapters be written, not in hospital ink, but in handwritten letters to your grandchildren. Let your last days be spent under the sky, not fluorescent lights. Let your choices be guided by love, not fear. And above all, remember this: peace is also a prescription. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is nothing at all. Now walk the rest of the way in freedom.